Hey guys, today I thought it would be fun to film a quick pregnancy Q&A. So I've asked you guys on Twitter to send me some questions about this pregnancy and I thought I would just go through them and answer a few. I've got them all on my phone here and I'm just going to get started. How and when did you know you wanted a second child? I think I have known that I wanted children since I was about 7 or something. I've always known that I wanted to be a mum. Never knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, career-wise or anything, but I always knew that I wanted to be a mum and I definitely wanted at least 2 children. So I just think forever I have known that I wanted 2 children. Practically though, I think I knew I wanted to start thinking about a second child when Grayson was about 1.5 years old. Unfortunately, my husband wasn't quite ready and quite in the same place as me at that time, so we decided to wait because it's not really fair for me to be like, we're having another baby when he's not ready for it, so we waited. And then this time last year, I think we decided to kind of try and get the ball rolling a bit. Are you scared about Grayson being jealous about his new brother or sister? Yes, I am, because he is still such a mummy's boy. It's unbelievable. Even to the point where if we're in the supermarket, he won't let Steph push him in the trolley. I have to push him. And he's always like, Mummy, can you do my bath? Can you read my bedtime story? He's very, very much a mummy's boy. So I do think he is going to struggle at the beginning, but I think we're going to do as much as we can do to kind of set him up for knowing what's going to happen. And I think the good thing is that lots of his friends from his little friendship group in our area have recently had baby brothers or sisters. So that's actually really handy because he kind of already has an idea of what's going to happen because it's already happening to his friends. But I think we're just going to get a couple of books and try and get him as involved as we possibly can. Each week I'm kind of telling him what size fruit the baby is and stuff, and he's talking to it and getting involved. So we're trying as hard as we can to kind of curb that, but I think it probably will happen. What was Grayson's reaction when you told him he was going to be a big brother? A big brother? A big brother. We kind of waited for a few weeks to tell him just because I felt like he was at that age where if we told him and then something went wrong like it did in my previous pregnancy, then it might be really hard for him to understand that it wasn't happening anymore. So we kind of waited until we were past the point that we were in the previous pregnancy. He was just I guess a normal 3-year-old reaction. I was like, oh, there's a baby in mummy's tummy, your friend's mummy. He seemed pretty happy about it. How is Grayson taking the news? Do you think he will be fine with not being an only child anymore? I think he's going to be fine with not being an only child. He's always been in lots of different social situations and mixed with lots of different children. He goes to nursery, his friends all have younger siblings, we've got next door neighbours that have younger children, so he's quite used to being around younger babies. He's got a cousin who's still a baby as well, so he's used to kind of knowing that he has to be gentle and that they can't do the same things that he can do. So I think the only thing we'll probably struggle with is he's probably going to be quite upset that I am no longer giving him my full attention, and I'm not quite sure how we'll manage that yet, but I'm hoping to either get some advice or kind of read a book or just muddle through, I suppose. What's the best thing about being an expectant mother for baby number 2? I suppose it is that you already know what you're doing, you know what to expect. Nothing is really scary anymore, I suppose. I guess the only thing that's slightly not scary but that you don't really know what to expect is birth, because you can't control that. You can kind of have an idea of how you would like it to go, but you can't really ultimately control it, and you have to just do what the best thing is at the time. But I think that's probably it, just knowing what's to come, knowing how everything is supposed to feel, not getting worried about certain aches and pains that you might have, and just feeling quite content, I suppose, because with my first pregnancy I was always really neurotic. With my pregnancy with Grayson, and this time, although I've had a miscarriage and for the first 3 months I was so anxious, I do feel like my anxiety levels have gone down so much and that I'm actually enjoying this pregnancy now, which I didn't really with Grayson, and I hate saying that because it sounds really mean, but I just didn't really enjoy it. And this time I just feel so elated and just really content, so I guess that's the best thing. Are you going to find out the sex of the baby? We aren't going to find out this time. Do you and Steph have names picked out? We have a list of names for boys and girls that we have had on the go for the past 2 years, it must be. I just love making lists of children's names and the names of our dogs. So yes, we have a list. We haven't chosen a name for either sex yet because there are a few names that we both really like that we can't choose between, but I feel like we've got time, and we didn't actually choose Grayson's name until after he was born, and I didn't even like his name until about a month before I had him. So I feel like there's not really a rush for that. I quite like the fact that we saw him before we named him, so we could kind of see what suited him, and I think we'll probably end up doing that this time as well, to be honest. Do you have an instinctive feeling of what you may think the gender of the baby is? I don't this time, which is really weird because with Grayson, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I just felt like I was having a boy. I just knew. It sounds really ridiculous, and you're probably thinking, oh, she's just making it up because she had a boy. But I just knew that he was going to be a boy. I just felt it. Whereas this time, I don't really have a feeling either way, which is slightly concerning. No, I just don't have a clue. It's a very different pregnancy than the pregnancy I had with Grayson, so I suppose if I had to guess, it would be a girl, but I really don't know. What are your favourite clothing maternity brands? I'm struggling to find anything as stylish yet practical with a toddler. Ugh, I hate shopping for maternity clothes. I generally try and just like cling on to my own normal clothes for quite a long time because everything I have is kind of baggy anyway. But I guess if I had to pick, I would say Topshop do an okay-ish maternity range. When I was pregnant with Grayson, it was awful and just really unflattering. This time around, I've seen a few things in there that I really like. They're not maternity, but I get these leggings from Sweaty Betty. I think they're called... oh, I have no idea what they're called, but they basically have like a fold over bit that you can use over your bump. They're not meant to be maternity, but they're just incredibly comfortable. I don't really know of any other good maternity brands, sorry. You mentioned you're eating healthily in this pregnancy. Please, can you share some meal and snack ideas? I am eating a lot healthier than I did with Grayson. Don't get me wrong, I'm still polishing off the hobnobs and the cereal and the chocolate spread on toast, but I'm also eating a lot of fruit. I'm really craving fruit. A couple of snacks that I always have on me at the moment, which are really handy when you're out all day with a toddler, because if I get hungry, I feel really sick, or I am sick. I have the Deliciously Ella does these little they're like energy balls, and they do them in the gluten-free section in the supermarket, and she just sells them individually. If I was not lazy, I would make them myself, but they're just like little balls of, I think they're coconut, dates and almonds or something, and they're all crushed up and put into a ball, and it's just really filling and something that you can eat quickly to stop you from feeling sick. And I also carry around like a little pot of nuts and raisins because I find that stops me from feeling sick. Watermelon is a big one. Obviously it's really impractical to take out, but we've got like a big thing of watermelon in our fridge right now, which I made Steph cut up for me, and I'm just eating a lot of watermelon. Does Grayson interact with the bump? He does like talking to it. So he'll say goodnight to it. He'll say things like, I want to kick the baby so she comes out. Like, he wants her to come out. We've called it a her, by the way, just so it's easier for all of us to talk about it instead of calling it an it or just baby. So he's like, yeah, I want to kick her so she comes out. And I'm like, no, please don't do that. And he kind of he'll talk to the bump, and then he'll put on this really high-pitched voice and pretend to be the bump talking back to him, which is quite cute. He's had a couple of times where he's just randomly just come up to me and rubbed my tummy, which is so cute. But that's about it really at the moment. Do you want any more children after this pregnancy? I say yes now. I definitely would like a third now, but obviously I have no clue what it's going to be like with 2 children, so we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how Steph feels about it and how we get on as a dynamic of 4. Potentially, yes, I would like to have more children. Have you thought about what type of birth you want to have this time around? I've thought a little bit about it. I did a hypno birth with Grayson last time. Sorry, there's a bit of fluff in the air. I did hypnobirth with Grayson last time, and I had a water birth. I feel like I had a really positive birth experience. It was quite painful, and I don't feel like I was fully in the hypnobirthing zone, but potentially that's something that I would like to revisit. I definitely think I want a water birth, but I would like the option of drugs, which is you can't combine the two, which is really annoying. But I want to be in the water because this is kind of gross, but like I feel like it makes everything stretchier, so you're less likely to get damaged down there. Whereas the thought of giving birth on like a dry bed freaks me out a little bit. If everything's going well, then I will do like the hypnobirthing, but if it's, I don't know, you can never really predict what's going to happen. So I've kind of got an open mind, but I would like a water birth potentially. Are you looking to move house with more space or another room for the baby? Yes, we are. We're still looking at renting in Bath at the moment, and I really, really want to be moved before we have the baby, because I think moving with a newborn would be absolute hell. And also in terms of Grayson's schooling, if we're moving cities, then I want to be able to school hunt properly before the baby comes and apply for his school, because he's going to be starting school next year, which is absolutely mental. So yes, we are, and I would like to have a room for the baby, because when we had Grayson we didn't have a nursery straight away. I don't know, it sounds silly, but I do feel a little bit like we sort of missed out on that part of pregnancy, like getting the baby's room ready, even though we wouldn't have needed it because he was in with us for like the first year. Do you have a nickname that you call the baby now rather than it or bump? We call the baby she, because it sounds nicer than calling it it, and Steph thinks it's going to be a girl. We recently started calling it Peach because it was the size of a peach at the time, and we thought that was quite cute, so we're just calling it her Peach right now. How are you coping with being pregnant with a toddler? To be honest, I found the first 3 months, or the first 2.5 months, were fairly easy, because my first trimester was fairly easy, and apart from feeling anxious, I didn't really feel horrifically ill or really exhausted. But then I found towards the end of the first trimester and the beginning of the second trimester, I felt like a lot more tired. Around after lunchtime, I would hit a tired wall and I'd feel like I needed a nap. But when you have a 3-year-old running around who doesn't take a nap anymore, then it can be quite difficult to kind of schedule in any kind of resting period, because he has so much energy and he's constantly wanting attention, and yeah, it is difficult. We've had a lot of movie afternoons in that period of time, which I don't feel guilty for, because I feel like he was enjoying it. The weather was horrible anyway. Yeah, it just kind of worked for us. What are your top 3 pregnancy must-haves? Belly butter for your tummy, because your tummy, obviously the skin stretches, so it's good to kind of keep it moisturised and supple. And I was quite lucky last time that I got away with just a couple above my belly button, which I don't really mind anyway, but I am quite vigilant with keeping everything moisturised. The other thing would be a wedge pillow. At night time I always sleep with a wedge pillow. It's just like literally it's like a wedge of cake, and I just find it makes it more comfortable, because everything kind of tends to slop over to one side. I don't really have another one at the moment. Those are my 2 things. I guess maternity bra, because your boobs hurt. Yeah, just a comfortable bra, a wedge pillow, and some belly butter or oil. If anyone has any recommendations for belly butter or oil, please let me know. I hate the smell of bio oil, I really can't stand it. I don't really like really strongly perfumed things, so I find it quite hard to find one, and I know you can make them, it just looks like a lot of effort. So yeah, if you have any recommendations for non-offensive smelling belly creams or butters, then please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm struggling to find one. What has been your favourite thing about being pregnant this time? As soon as my anxiety went, everything. I'm just really, really enjoying it. I love it. I felt the baby quite early as well, so that's been really nice. I don't know, it's just a really magical time, and you only get to do it a few times in your life if you're lucky. Just really appreciating it, and I feel like sickeningly content and happy at the moment, so I guess that's my favourite thing. What are your cravings? I don't really have any cravings as such. There's food that I definitely have gone off a little bit, like meat, and foods that I am enjoying eating more, like watermelon, but I don't really have any massive cravings where I'm like, Steph, you need to go and get this from the shop for me now. Just generally lots of food. I'm just hungry all the time, and it does get a bit boring when you've just eaten dinner and then you're like, oh, I'm hungry again, and you're constantly thinking about where your next meal or where your next snack is going to come from. How do you think the logistics of having 2 children will work? I don't really have a clue. I've got friends who juggle 2 children, and I do think it looks hard, and I do think I will find it hard. But I think the age that Grayson is going to be by the time we have a newborn is actually turned out to be quite a good age gap for us, even though it is a bigger age gap than I initially wanted, and it just didn't work out the way we planned. I feel like he's going to be 3.5, so he's very happy to be at nursery. Like, he loves going to nursery in the mornings now, and on the days where he doesn't go, he's like, I want to go to nursery. So I think that's going to really help me out, because I'll be able to just have one child for like 3 hours a day. I don't know. I think we're just going to wing it, and we're quite lucky that we both work from home. So hopefully Steph can help me out until I find my feet a bit more with a routine and stuff. So yeah, I don't know is the answer. What's the first thing you're going to buy, and will you use Grayson's hand-me-downs? I'm definitely going to use all of Grayson's old clothes, and I can't wait to go through them. I have gone through a little bag already of his like baby stuff, but I did feel like I was jinxing my pregnancy when I was doing it because I'm neurotic. But I definitely want to use some of his things. Even if we have a girl, there's lots of things that I have for him that I would put on a girl, and I don't necessarily want to dress a girl in like really girly things anyway. So I'll definitely be reusing lots of his things, and especially if we have a boy, I'll just be reusing everything. I don't really feel like a massive need to baby shop this time, which is really weird, because when I was pregnant with him, that I got really excited about that. But I feel like because I kind of saved everything of his, and I kind of washed it and kept everything nice, I kind of like the fact that I don't have to panic shop or like go shop, because going shopping with a toddler is not enjoyable. So I don't think we really need to buy anything. I think we're going to update the car seat, and there is a Moses basket that I want to get, because I think it's going to be handy being able to carry the baby around when it's having a nap in the house, because I have toddlers to entertain, so it'll be good for me to be able to do that. And there is one baby grow that I want to get, just because we don't know what we're having. It's kind of like a white baby grow with little ducklings on it, and I just think it's really cute. But that's literally like the only thing that I really want to buy. It's just kind of nice knowing that we've got everything and we don't need to panic. We just need to get it all out of the attic. What are you going to do differently this time around than you did with Grayson? The only thing really is I would like to be a bit more relaxed. With him, I was always quite neurotic, but he was my first baby, so I feel like this time I know more what I'm doing. So I would like to be a bit more chilled and not rush everywhere so much. I always felt like we should be doing something or going for a walk or whatever, and this time I just really want to soak the baby up and just really appreciate having a small baby, not kind of look forward to the next steps but enjoy the things that they're doing now. I feel like I did that a lot with Grace, and I'd be like, oh, he's crawling, I can't wait for him to walk. Like, I wouldn't just focus on what he was doing then, I'd be constantly looking to the next thing. So I feel like this time I will probably want it to be a lot slower. Are you going to film your labour? I don't know, because my labour last time was quite intense and it felt like it happened quite fast, and I didn't want the camera in my face, so I feel like I'll probably be the same this time. I'm sure Steph will try and do some sneaky filming. I do want to film the birth, like when I see the baby for the first time, because I love the fact that I have that on camera from Grayson. But I don't know, I guess it depends how it goes and if everything is going okay. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there, because otherwise this video is going to be the longest video in the history of the world. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching my little pregnancy Q&A, and I'll see you all soon for something else. Bye.